BBC Hooniverse.
You're watching the TGM production.
Amazon Music, a service you seem to get when you get Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is a delivery faster service you can get through Amazon. With Amazon Prime, you get Amazon Prime Video, and you get Amazon Music, and I think Amazon Photos, but I don't know much about that. Amazon Prime Video used to house Doctor Who at one point or another. You'll be able to watch Doctor Who on Amazon Prime Video. I think you still can, but I think it's now purchase only instead of being there just to watch. Today we're talking for the final time Big Finish On. Big Finish On is a series where I talk about different places you can listen to Big Finish. Episode 1 was Apple Music. Episode 2 was Audible. Episode 3 was Spotify. And episode 4, our final episode, is Amazon Music. Amazon Music houses Audible in the same... No, not Audible. Sorry. Amazon and Audible are owned by the same company, right? I'm going to get this stop. Amazon Music, which I looked up yesterday due to in yesterday's film about Doctor Who on Big Finish being available through Spotify, I then looked up Doctor Who on audio being saved up. You know, English words that I apparently now can't say. So we were looking at Big Finish having a not so great output on the mobile version of Spotify, but on the iPad or desktop version, right? I think it's better, but the content isn't very good because Apple Music has a far superior setup, and so does Audible, and Apple Music has a far better library of Big Finish. Audible, as we've said, doesn't have great audio apparently, so I wouldn't recommend Audible. Now, if we go to Amazon Music, I'm going to get them all confused. I do apologise. But when we get to talking about, I don't know why I did that. I was trying to be clever, probably. You know, trying to be extra clever. Doesn't work. Anyway, so when you look at Amazon Music's roster for Big Finish, it's all Doctor Who. Right, Apple Music has The Avengers, Apple Music has Terrahawks, Apple Music has Blake 7, right? So, and I think it's Dorian Gray as well. So, Apple Music hasn't just got your Doctor Who stuff, which is great for fans like me, who's also fans of Terrahawks, Dorian Gray, The Avengers, the 60s show, and Blake 7. I always called it Blake's 7. It's just Blake 7. There's no S. Anyway, if you're a fan of Doctor Who, you're a fan of Blake 7. There's crossovers. Anyway, so when you look at the library that Amazon Music contains, which you can look at for free without needing a subscription, because if you want the music service for that, you've got to look at the library. It's not great. I think there's a few titles less. Like, I'm going to say, I think there's about 3 titles less than what's on Spotify. So you have, I don't think you have the same like roster of stuff. So with Apple Music, right, what you've got is you've got the different albums. I'm going to call it an album just for this sake. You've got them via the writer. So Robert Valentine has his own section, Robert Sherman. And so That's a little bit more complicated. Audible Audible, if you type in the box that you're after, you'll find it. Spotify, because of podcasts being a thing, you can't type in Big Finish because you'll get the Big Finish podcast. But you have to type in Doctor Who. So if you go to Amazon Music, right, and if you type in Doctor Who, right, and then you get the music, obviously. But if you scroll, you get audio books. But I don't know. Oh, so it's a similar system to Spotify. I didn't press on this yesterday when I was looking, because I assumed that it was sending you to Audible. But it turns out that if you've got Amazon Music, like if you've got premium Spotify, you get the audiobooks for free. So I think, the subscription-wise, I think that's worth it. For Apple Music is separate to iBooks, I think it's called, which is where you can probably get the audio books here. But that's not. I just wanted to point out that Doctor Who Aliens of London, which is the audiobook of the novelisation, isn't Big Finish. So that doesn't really count on that one. But it doesn't look like you can get Big Finish audio. Oh, no, you can. You can get the 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 1. I think, now looking at this, I think this is the same library as what you get on Audible. I think, audiobook-wise, I think that's just Audible. So I would recommend using the Audible app for that, because I feel like it's a lot more operational. So, now that we're at the albums, let's see all. Yes, you've got your Murray Gold stuff, but that isn't what we're on about today. So you've got, so every version, Apple Music, Spotify, and Audible, and now Amazon Music, all have Storm Warning, which is a Paul McGann story. Now I don't know what the lines mean underneath the names, but whereas Apple Music's done it tracks, and I've got to see disc 1, disc 2, and disc 3. This is all just in one pack, but it probably would be at that point. So if we look further, you've got, so what you're after here is, does it have Boom Banga Banga Boom? And it does. So that confirms to me that the library for Amazon Music is very similar to the library on Spotify, but there are a few audios on here that Spotify doesn't have, but Apple Music does have. But it's hard to try and find because you're sort of going between the podcasts, the music, and whatnot. So if you go to artists, right, another Doctor Who appears. So let's press that. That gives you the main Audible, the main Big Finish stuff. So we've got the massive CD TARDIS thing that has different Doctors involved. You've got a lot of the similar audios that you get on there. Now I don't know if this is Big Finish. It is. I don't know. But you've got the stage play 3, The Curse of the Daleks. I don't know if that's on any. I don't think the stage play they're actually on any of the others. I don't know. I haven't looked, but it's on Amazon Music, which is good. That's good. That's actually quite impressive if you really think about it. So there's no Dark Eyes. Right, Dark Eyes 1, Dark Eyes 2 that Apple Music have, but I'm not saying it's a bad lineup, unless Audible, Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Music. I'm getting confused. Audible, Apple Music, and Spotify. If they've got the stage plays, then I'm not too sure what's worth it. Because if you really want to look at it price-wise, if you can afford Apple Music, then I suggest Apple Music. Audible is a different scenario, so you can either get the subscription, which gives you 1 free credit a month to get an audiobook, so you can get Big Finish there. But if not, you can buy them individually, and they're not at a massive price, you know, not like 30-40 quid that they are on the Big Finish website, but you don't get the CD with it. So Amazon itself, you can buy the CDs, right? So as a retailer, you can buy the CDs, but you don't get the digital download. So Apple Music is a paid subscription, so you get the subscription, you get it all included. Audible, it's either a subscription or it's a pay book-by-book basis. Spotify, it's free with adverts, or you can get a premium subscription. But at that point, Spotify has the Big Finish podcast within it. Not the official Big Finish podcast, but another Big Finish podcast where they add an audio on a week to get you into the world of Big Finish. So that could be a good tool for any new listeners. And Amazon Music, if you buy Amazon Prime, you get Amazon Prime Video, and you get Amazon Photos, and you get Amazon Music included in that price. So I don't know whether or not that's value for money. That depends on how much you use Amazon, right? That all depends on your usage of Amazon. If you're only buying the subscription for Amazon Prime Video, then that'll be a different reason. I'm assuming there's different price categories for that. But I think that having Audible available on music platforms, which is what, well, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Music are the music platforms. Audible isn't. But having it available in this wide stretch, not just on CD, on the Big Finish website. I'm getting confused now. I always am confused. It means you've got a wide variety and a wide sort of roster to be able to understand that Big Finish is worth getting into. So I do think that Storm Warning is going to be my recommendation for Amazon Music. Even though Storm Warning is available across the board, I just think that Storm Warning's there. Dark Eyes, as I've said previously, 1 and 2, is what I'm recommending from Apple Music. Spotify, I recommended Boom Bang a Boom. And Audible, I think that the audio, the reviews I've read, doesn't really complement the audio, so I wouldn't recommend listening to anything on Audible. But if you can only afford Audible, because there's some audios that are on Audible that aren't on Spotify, and you can't afford anything from the Big Finish website itself, then I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying from what I've read and what I've heard from the reviews, it doesn't sound promising. But I'm assuming that might be depending on what device and what sort of headphone quality you've got. I don't know. I'm assuming the audio depends on what device and what operating system and all that. I'm assuming it's a similar sense of that. I'm not too sure overall, but there we go. That is the final episode of Autumn on Big Finish on. I'm glad at this point because I can no longer say the difference. But thanks for watching. Bye bye. Yeah, I do know the difference. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do know the difference. Yeah, I do. I'll be very glad. Yeah. Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to the official Tom Mason YouTube channel.